Hello everyone, we're in sunny San Diego at the Mercury Insurance Open, which is the second stop on the US Open Series, which is a group of tournaments that lead up to the US Open, and the players compete for a bonus prize money depending on how well they do on this series. And one of the things I want to talk about is the different types of injuries that you'll see on different surfaces. And that's one of the unique things about tennis, is that it's played on multiple surfaces, unlike other sports which just are played on one surface. When you look at the different surfaces, each surface brings its own series of challenges and different types of injuries that are more common with our players. For instance, on the clay, we tend to see more shoulder problems because the balls tend to pick up the clay as play progresses and they become heavier, and so it's a bigger stress on the shoulder. Also, we tend to see adductor types of issues because on the clay they have that trademark sliding, so there's a lot more stress placed through the adductor region. On the grass surface, we tend to see more glutes and more quad issues because the players have to squat down lower because the balls don't bounce as high, so they're reaching to be able to hit the ball because it doesn't bounce as high. On the hard court, however, we have our own set of stresses, and we tend to see more things like ankle sprains, foot problems, knee injuries, and lower extremity strains in general, because hard court tends to be less forgiving on the body, and it's a much more start and stop type of surface. And so as a massage therapist working with these athletes, what we try to do is analyze or understand each different type of surface, what type of injury that we're going to see, so we can best treat that person. And so one easy thing that we can do to help with the stresses of hard court is to make sure that the calves stay loose. If the calves are tight, one of the things that it does is it puts the foot in a little bit of plantar flexion, and that will make the player susceptible to lateral ankle sprains or inversion ankle sprains. The other thing that it does is it prevents the calcaneus from moving properly. When that happens, it places stress on the plantar fascia, which attaches to the other side, opposite the Achilles tendon. And so when that calcaneus cannot move properly, the plantar fascia can become irritated quite easily. Moving up to the knee, what can happen is when we have a player that has tight calves, they're unable to dorsiflex, or their dorsiflexion is limited, and so when they bend to hit a shot, they can't squat down as much, and that force is just transferred up into the knee, and it can lead to things like patellar tendon problems. And so one way that we can easily keep the calves loose is to incorporate movement into our treatment. And that's very easily done by having the athlete, when they're laying prone, just hang their feet off the edge of the table. And what you can do is, as you're doing your strokes to the calf, you can have that player slowly dorsi and plantar flex their foot to enhance the effectiveness of what you're doing. You want to make sure that you emphasize both the lengthening phase. As they're dorsiflexing, you want to do things like longitudinal stripping strokes up the calf, and anything parallel to the fiber direction, and whether that's using a palm or a loose fist or just your thumbs. And you also want to make sure that you emphasize the broadening phase of that muscle, so during their plantar flexion, the muscle becomes broader and shorter, and you can do things like cross fiber broadening with the heels of your hand. You can use your thumbs, you can do a little bit of petrissage, but as they're plantar flexing, we want to broaden that muscle to just enhance the effectiveness. And you always want to make sure that you stay within the tolerance level of the person that you're working on, so it's not uncomfortable and we don't cause any guarding or spasm within that person. So I hope these tips have helped. Stay tuned for more.